Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am back in a new location. I am still trying to figure out where to film like my sit down videos. Obviously we changed the way that the bedroom layout is and I don't know where to film, so let me know how you feel about this setup. I'm also not like centralised with the camera because I'm thinking that when I sit and talk about books I can just put them in this area. Anyway, wrap up of 2020. What a reading year I have had. All things considered, I have had a pretty good reading year. It's been my worst in the sense of stats and figures, which I'll go through at the end of the video. But actually, like, mentally enjoying my reading, I've really enjoyed it this year. I want to say it's my third year of doing this, but my fourth year of, like, properly getting back into reading. And my number goal was nowhere near what it's been previously. So I want to say I've done 30, 40, 52, and then this year I set it at 12, which is obviously a dramatic drop. I knew I would hit higher, but I just didn't want to give myself that goal of potentially stressing myself out at the end of the year, thinking, God, I've got to get my numbers up sort of thing. So I set it at 12. I knew I was having a baby in March. Didn't know we were going to go into lockdown and the world was going to go to shit, but I ended up reading 31 books, so I think I did really well, all things considered. I, like I said, really enjoyed my reading this year, and that's one thing that I'm taking away from my having a lower number, is that previously I set my goal higher each year, and I was like, come on, if I read 40, I can read 50, or I can read 52, that works out at one book a week. And I wasn't necessarily enjoying the reads that I was picking because I was trying to get through books quick so I could get my number up, if that makes sense. Whereas this year, I hit my target within the first couple of months and I wasn't going to increase it. So it says that I've got a 250% like reward because obviously my number's gone so high. I just really enjoyed taking the time to read my books this year, and that's another thing, whereas previously I was going really fast and trying to get through a book in a week so I could get that one off the list and go on to the next, and I had so many reading slumps in 2019. Whereas this year I've taken my time, I've taken maybe 3 or 4 weeks to read a book, but I've enjoyed it so much more, and that's one thing that I'm going to take into 21 with me. It's all about the quality and not the quantity, and I feel like that is a true representation of life anyway. So, woo! Where should we start? Reading journal. Also, leave me a comment below, let me know if you want to see my reading journal. I've got a new one, so this is the last time that you will see this one. I always get questions about this floppy one. This is from Home Bargains years ago, but this year I was like, you know what, sod it, I'm going to get myself a bullet journal. So I've spent the last God knows how many hours and evenings I've spent, but I've got a bullet journal and I love it, and I would love to sit down and share it with you. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know. So what am I doing? January, where are we? The reading journal this year was a bit of a fail. Book club with Jess, I stopped at February because of baby and pandemic. My 2020 releases page, that went to shit because everything got pushed back. Right, January, here we go. So in January, one thing as well that I will also note, that I read a hell of a lot on my Kindle, so I will be inserting pictures here as I talk, etc, etc. So let's get going. In January of 2020, I started the year with Trouble by Non Pratt. I'm going to be looking down and referring to my reading diary. Then I moved on to The Day We Met by Roxy Cooper, which was my book club with Jess pick of the month. Fallen Too Far by Abby Glines. Finished off in January with Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. February I read If I Never Met You by Mari McFarlane and Chasing Daisy by Paige Toon. In March, I read Strictly Between Us by Jane Fallon. This was the book that I read before I gave birth to Florence. And then I started my Kindle sprint after giving birth. So I read Paper Princess by Erin Watt. Then went back to a paperback and read Pictures of Lily by Page Toon. Loved this one. Like I said, I really just smashed the Paper Princess collection, I guess. So they're all by Erin Watts, and in April I read Broken Prince, Twisted Palace, Fallen Heir and Cracked Kingdom, all by Erin Watts. In May I read The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, a very overhyped book. Didn't rate it at all. I still see it on people's TBRs. Wouldn't waste your time. It was just a really boring chick lit. No, not for me. And then I read Normal People by Sally Rooney. I just love you so much. Love you, love you, love you so much. And then I finished off May reading One She Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. In June I read the 2020 release for Page Toon. This was pushed back by a couple of months and I read it towards the end of June, so I only read one book in June, and that is this one, and that is The Minute I Saw You. Beautiful cover. It has been recovered as well, if anyone gets confused. It's been recovered for like a navy. July, again, I only read one book. I read another yellow book, and that is The Happiness for Beginners by Carol Matthews. Lovely, lovely read. In August, I started my shopaholic stint, and basically it was a month of Sophie K. So we started with book 1, which is Sophie Kinsella, The Secret Dream World of a Shopaholic. I've done book talks on these, and Shopaholic Abroad. I then actually read a book 2P, which was a Sophie K, but it was her children's section like book. I've counted 2 of P's books on my Goodreads. Call me a cheat. They were over 100 pages each, and I read them throughout like a couple of weeks to her. I didn't like rate them, I don't think, on Goodreads, but we read Mummy Fairy and Me by Sophie Kinsella. Really loved that. If you've got children, sort of 5 to 8 year olds that like reading, sit down and read them with your children. They're fantastic, and P loved it. I then continued in September with Shopaholic Ties the Knot, and I do need to continue this, and I finished off September with one of my favourite reads, and I will be doing a separate video for my favourite reads of 2020. Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. Look at that. Chunky, chunky book. After falling back in love with Cassandra Clare, I gave it a really long time. In October I started with Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. Look at the size of that bad boy. And then I read The Cat and the King by Nick Sharratt with P. November I read 4 books, and that was All About Us by Tom Allen. That was a Kindle one. The Chase by Elle Kennedy. That was my first and only DNF, which did not finish. I read maybe 20%, and previously, in previous years, I would have been like, nope, stick with it. That's another book ticked off. This year, my goal or my aim was, if I wasn't enjoying a book, I'm not going to read it. So I DNF'd it. I didn't star rate it on Goodreads, but I'm still going to count. I read a good chunk of it, and maybe I read more than that. Maybe I read like 40%. Either way, it was just really naff and didn't recommend. I then went on to read The Love Square by Laura Williams. Loved that. And then I finished with One More for Christmas by Sarah Morgan, which was her Christmas release for 2020. Finally, in December, I read 2 books, and I read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Love you, love you, love you, love you. And then I finished off with Christmas for Beginners by Carol Matthews. That is what I read in 2020. Like I said, I'm gonna do a video talking through my favourites. I will probably mention like the ones I didn't necessarily like as well. Like I said, I had a really good reading year. I look back and I think I read some really good books this year. I'm really happy with how it went and things that I discovered. Like, I can't believe I got into this year. I can't believe it. I'm going to gush about it in the next video, which I will be filming in a little while, so appearance will be the same. Really quickly before I go, I'm just going to sit down and talk through my stats. I really recommend going on Goodreads. Goodreads is great. You can set up a free account, you can have an app on your phone, and you basically set a goal. Some of like my viewers, you always message me and be like, oh, how do you read so much? Set it low and then work your way up. Like I said, quantity is quality. You will enjoy your books so much more if you just take the time, and I wish previous Jess knew that, but now I know. So 2021, I'm going to set my goal for 21 in 21, why not? But anyway, good read stats of 2020. So slightly annoyed that I included P's books on my Goodreads, because some of the ones are on here and they wouldn't be if I didn't include them, but we're just going to go with it. So in total I read 11,604 pages across 31 books. The shortest book I read was The Cat and the King by Nick Sharratt, which is 144 pages long. The longest book I read was Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare at 720. I swear this one's bigger. Huh? That's not right. This is inaccurate. This is bigger by far. Sorry. This is hang on. This is not right. This isn't right. This is 720. This is way bigger. This is 870. So my Goodreads probably isn't accurate. Maybe don't download it. So this was the longest one. This is a fail. Average length, who knows if it's accurate, was 386 pages. My most popular was A Course of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, which basically means the amount of people that shelved it in 2020, and that was over 1 million people shelved that. Oh my god, get my words out. Definitely worth the hype, telling you. The least popular was obviously A Cat and the King by Nick Sharratt, and only 93 people shelved it. I'm so annoyed at myself. Note to self, don't include children's books in your Goodreads next year. My average star rating was a 3.6 stars, so it's quite good. I've been really critical of my reading. I say critical, just not dishing out the 5 stars as much. And the highest rated on Goodreads that I read was A Lord of Shadows, and that was at 4.56 stars. That wraps up my reading year of 2020. I can't believe we're now about to go into 2021. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if you have any book suggestions or other book content you want me to do. Every single year I always start the year being like, yeah, book content, love it, and it's no different this year. I love it, and all of my DMs at the moment on Instagram are like, oh, have you got any book suggestions and things like that. So it makes me so happy that I help people get into reading, or you care about my thoughts. Like, I'm not a book YouTuber, I just have such a big passion about it, and I don't really think I can ever get into the work of working with books, but this is enough for me. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to sit down in a little while once Florence goes down for a nap and talk about all my faves and like the ones that I didn't really enjoy that much. So look out for that, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.